Cabinet Mission Plan. Cabinet Mission Plan has its own importance in history of India. India's Constituent Assembly, which framed Constitution of India, was set up according to provisions of Cabinet Mission Plan. Now let us see what was Cabinet Mission Plan, what was its background and what were its provisions, its merits, demerits, and what was the response of Congress and Muslim League. Uh, General elections were held in Britain in 1945. After these elections, Labour Party came into power and C.R. Attlee became Prime Minister. He sent a mission of his three cabinet members to India to talk to Indian leaders and make some plan for making constituent assembly for making constitution. As the three persons sent by Mr. Attlee were cabinet members, therefore it was called cabinet mission. The three members of the commission were Lord Pethick Lawrence, Sir Stafford Cripps, and A.V. Alexander. These members met leaders of different parties, but there was hardly some common agreement among various leaders. At last, the cabinet members offered its own plan, and it was known as Cabinet Mission Plan. The main provisions of this plan were one was that the existing provincial assemblies were to be divided into the three groups or sections. The section A was to consist of Madras, Bombay, Central Province, United Province, Bihar, Odisha, means these were the Hindu majority provinces. Section B was to consist of Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province, means Muslim majority provinces. And the section C was to consist of Bengal and Assam, again Muslim majority provinces. Secondly, there were to have three tiers or levels of executive and legislature. One level at provincial level, second at section or group level, and third at the union level. Third provision was that there was to be a Union of India consisting of all the provinces and princely states. And it was to have powers on subjects like foreign affairs, defense, and communication. Provinces were to have full autonomy and powers over all the residual subjects, mean the subjects other than foreign affairs, defense, and communication were to lie with the provinces. This provision makes the union or center weak and provinces very strong. And another provision was that the members of constituent assemblies were to be elected indirectly by representatives of people, that is, by the members of provincial legislative assemblies. To set up the constituent assembly, the members for constituent assembly were to be elected by provincial legislative assemblies on the basis of one representative for 1 million population. So this was to be the ratio. Sikh and Muslim members of provincial legislatures were to elect a quota of their communities on population basis. The other members, of provincial legislative assemblies, mean the members other than Sikh and Muslims, they were to elect the rest of representatives for constituent assembly on population basis. The paramountcy of British government over princely states were come to end. After first general elections, general elections, the provinces were to be free to come out of the group or section, and after 10 years, a province could call or mean demand for making change in group or section constitution or union constitution. Another provision was that in the meantime, an interim government was to be formed from members of the Constituent Assembly. Actually, during the meantime, that is the time when Constituent Assembly is formed and this Constituent Assembly frames Constitution and elections are held according to this Constitution to elect a union government. During this period, the Constituent Assembly was to act as interim government, that is, equivalent to the union government. Next provision was that the communal issues were to be decided by Hindus and Muslims themselves by their own majority and not by a majority of their collective vote. It means suppose there are 300 members and out of these 200 are Hindus and 100 are Muslims. So any communal issue was to be voted separately. That is 200 Hindu members will vote separately and take majority decision, Likewise, 100 Muslim members will vote separately and take the majority decision. There was not to be a collective voting, means all the 300 members will not collectively vote and take majority decision. In the Constituent Assembly, the members of three sections, as mentioned in the point one, were to be divided into the three groups. The members in the each group would sit separately and frame the constitution of their province and, if possible, for their section or group also. Then the whole Constituent Assembly with the members of these three groups, Group A, B, and C, combined, would sit together to formulate the Union Constitution. And this proposed Constituent Assembly was to have 389 members with 292 from provincial assemblies and from chief commissioners provinces and 92 from princely states. Now, what were the what were the merits of the cabinet mission plan? One was that there was to be a single constituent assembly which was to be elected by representatives of people. So the democratic principle was followed. Secondly, the Muslim League demand for separate full-fledged Pakistan was rejected. Thirdly, there was a provision for the Indian Union, thus providing for unified India. All the members of Constituent Assembly were to be Indians, and the British government was to have no interference in the working of the Constituent Assembly. Now, what were the demerits of this cabinet mission plan? Uh, the grouping was imposed on the provinces. Initially, it was not clear whether the grouping of provinces was optional or compulsory. However, later, cabinet mission made it clear that it was compulsory. Congress wanted that right to come out of the group should be given to the provincial assemblies before the elections of 1946. And this compulsory grouping of provinces was against the idea of provincial autonomy. The constitution of provinces was to be framed before constituent before the constitution of the Indian Union. So I repeat, the constitution of provinces was to be framed before the constitution of Indian Union, and this was just this was absolutely opposite thing, and this was like putting a cart before the horse. Secondly, the states were given autonomy and all the residual powers, I mean the powers other than the subjects under the union, and this made the union or center weak and the provinces very strong. Thirdly, the members for Constituent Assembly from princely states were to be the nominated by the provinces, and these were not these were not to be the elected members like provincial assemblies. So this was against the democratic principle. Now, what were the views of Congress and Muslim Leagues on cabinet mission plan? Muslim League accepted the cabinet mission plan on 6 June 1946 as it had the roots of Pakistan in section B and C, that is the Muslim majority province. Congress also accepted the cabinet mission plan on 24th June because cabinet mission plan rejected the idea of separate full-fledged Pakistan as demanded by Muslim League. Secondly, there was to have a single constituent assembly to frame the constitution. Earlier, the Muslim League was demanding that there should be a separate constituent assembly for the Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs, this demand of the two separate constituent assembly was rejected, and there was to be a single constituent assembly to frame the constitution.